rather rapidly. And by speaking rapidly, I'll run right over you if you let me. So please feel free to interrupt me when any questions come up, because oftentimes what happens is somebody will have a question, they'll wait for me to take a breath, and then they'll never remember what that question was later on, because sometimes I don't breathe. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and minimize this. And we're going to go ahead and get started. Okay, so the first thing that I want you to be aware of is that this is a beginner's class. As a beginner's class, we are assuming that all of your data entry is already done, that your groups and services are in with their prices and times, that your inventory is in, that your sales tax is set up, etc., that your clients are in your system. All of that is already assumed. What we're going to be focusing on in this class is appointment bookings, unbookings, and rescheduling, with standing appointments. We're also then going to be talking about the point of sale register. And at the end, we'll be talking about commissions. If there's any part of the class that you say, you know what, I'm so familiar with this, you can just skip it, then we'll skip it. Again, right now it's just you and me, so we really can just focus on those areas that you need to focus on. And if anybody does join us, hopefully they will, but it's already 7 minutes after now. If anybody does join us, we'll get back into the traditional format of the class. Again, I am recording this class, so when the class is over, I will be converting it into a YouTube video, and if you would like, I can email you a copy of the class that you just attended, okay? Excellent. Okay, so here we go. This is the beginner's class. The first thing we're going to be talking about is the appointment book. And I want you to be aware that there are 3 real different types of appointment books in the system. There's something called the day view screen, which is something like what we're looking at here, which shows the list of your staff and perhaps even rooms or equipment if you're a spa or a med spa, and also something called the week view screen. The week view screen allows you to choose an individual, let's say Debbie here, and when choosing an individual, you get to see their schedule, nobody else's, from today plus 2 weeks. You can, using your plus or minus signs, also see up to a full 31 days on a single screen. Okay. All right. So let's talk first about the day view screen. So to get to the day view screen, we're going to left click on book. Now, you might have already caught me in what seems to be an error. I told you there are 3 different types of appointment books. The day view and the week view is all I showed you. And the reason for that is because we also have something called the month view, which we do not discuss in this class. And for the beginners, the month view is not part of the class. We do discuss the month view in the advanced class. It's a little bit different than booking with the day view or the week view. All right, so I'm going to click on, by left clicking one time on the book button, that takes me to my day view screen. And in my day view screen, I'm able to see my staff that is working for today. Now, you may be a very small location, and so maybe you only have 4 or 5 people. Well, this is what it might look like if you had 5 people working. And of course, this is what it might look like if you had 15 or so people working. And again, with that plus or minus sign, you can see up to 31 columns on a single screen. And you can have it default to however many people you actually have working. So let's go ahead and start back here again. What I'd like to do is book an appointment. Now, before I continue, Jodi, can you tell me, are you a salon or a spa or a med spa?
We are a full-service spa.
A full-service spa. Okay. All right, and that's good to know, because then I'll try to focus on those types of things. All right, so first thing we need to do in order to book an appointment is to pull up a customer. And we can do that a lot of different ways. First, we're going to go here to this button that says Client. And we're going to left click on that button. And that brings up our client selection window. And in this window, I'm able to pull up a customer by last name, by default is the last name, or by first name by clicking on this button, or by telephone number by clicking on this button, or even by membership number. If you are using the Loyalty Rewards membership part of your software, I'm not trying to sell you anything, it's part of your software, but you may not see member number here, because if your membership system is not activated, then you won't see that there. Okay, so that's one way to pull them up. Another way is to simply start typing their name right in here. Again, it defaults by last name. So for instance, if I wanted to look up myself, Matt Wiggins, I could type in something like Wiggins, M, enter. and everybody whose last name is Wiggins and their first name starts with M is going to appear. I've got Wiggins Margaret, Wiggins Matthew, and Wiggins Michael, and there's Matthew Wiggins right there, so I could choose him. Or by left-clicking on this, I could, if I'm using a touch screen like a tablet or something like that, I could use these buttons on the left and right to click on something like W and then I and GG and then not WG, WI, there we go, and GG, and then hit select with my finger, and everybody whose last name starts with those 4 letters will appear. The more letters I put in, the shorter the list is going to be. Now what I'm going to do is simply type it in. I could simply type right here. Again, the more you put in, the shorter the list. So let's just do a W and hit enter. And again, everybody whose last name starts with W appears, and it's an extremely long list. In this case, anyway. Yours may not be. So I'll do WIGGINS and enter. Now I have a much shorter list. That's all there is to it. And again, if I put in Wiggins space and a letter, maybe an A, then only April would have appeared. So lots of different ways to pull somebody up. So once I've chosen the person I want, I simply click on their name. Let's go ahead and go with April. I click on the name. And now April Wiggins is here in this field. I can now book an appointment for her. And I can do that either by choosing from one of all of my services. Every service that I have in the system is going to be listed here. Or I can limit them by going to all groups and choosing a specific group, like say facials. Now notice, by the way, when I chose facials, my screen just changed quite a bit. Only Jessica and Lachey appear. Watch what happens when I choose massage. Now I've got all of these massage therapists, rooms that massages can be done in, and even some equipment that may be used in some of my massages. If I select waxing, again, my screen changes because now I'm only looking at my waxing estheticians. And again, we'll go back to facials. Again, I'm left with Jessica and Lachey, and now I choose a service. Let's choose a European facial, and I'd like to book at 10 o'clock with Jessica. So under Jessica's column, I find the corresponding time, and anywhere within that row, I left-click to block out the time. Once the time has been blocked out, anywhere within this appointment now, I can right-click to choose what type of customer this is. In other words, did April ask for Jessica? If so, she's a request. Is this her first visit and she requested April? That's a new request. Or maybe she couldn't care less who she sees. That's simply a no type. She just doesn't care. So I'm going to go with no type this time, and the appointment is booked. So let's try it again. I'm going to pull up another customer. I'll just grab anybody here. We'll go with Claudia, and I'll go with a European facial with Lachey at 12 o'clock. Left click to block out my time, right click to choose what time, and this time I'm going to say she's a request. She asked for Lachey, and this little purple line here on the side lets me know that Claudia said she wants to see Lachey, whereas this one without the purple line tells me that April didn't care who she saw, and I simply booked her with somebody who could provide that service and had the available time available. Okay? Okay, so let's try it again. I'm going to choose another customer here. This time we'll go with Greg Gettner. I'll choose another group. This time I'll go with a massage. And I'll choose my service. And we'll say a hot stone 60. Now this one's going to be a little bit different. Watch what happens when I book this appointment with Christian at 12 o'clock. I left click to block out the time, right click anywhere within it to choose what type of customer they are. And this time it asks me what equipment is being used. I'm going to say the black stones and accept. Greg Gettner has been booked with Christian in the Elixir room with the black stones. So now I've got what's called 3-tiered booking here. Now you might say, well, wait a minute, Matt. I didn't see it ask you for the room. It only asks you for the equipment. Why is that? Well, the reason for that is because Christian, when I set him up, I can actually have what are called room preferences. So inside of Christian's information, I can set room preferences. In other words, he might like the Elixir room and say, if the Elixir room is available, I want it. So by doing that, it won't even ask if it's available. If the Elixir room wasn't available, however, it would have asked me to choose one of the other rooms. So let's try again. This time, we'll go with Chris Habib here. We'll stay with the Hot Stone 60, and this time I'll book it with Abigail at 1 o'clock. Now it says, what room? And I'll choose the herbal room, and what equipment, and I'll choose the red stones. And now the appointment is booked with Abigail in the herbal room with the red stones. Now, Why weren't the Blackstones available? Because you can see the Blackstones are being cleaned. I had additional 15 minutes of cleanup time assigned to both the room and the stones. So my Blackstones were being cleaned so that they could be available for my next customer. So now I'm using my red stones. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah. That's awesome.
All right. Yeah, it certainly can be. All right, so now I'm going to choose Lola here, and I'm going to choose another group. Now, I know you don't do hair, but you know what? We'll just go with Lola. Oh, you do hair. I'm sorry. I thought you said you were full-service day spa. I'm sorry. I didn't realize you were salon spa. My mistake.
Yeah, we do it all. Yeah,
okay, good to know. Well, then, you know what? Let's go to hair, which is where I was going to go. So I'm going to select hair, and I'm going to choose a service like a blow, dry, and curl. And I'm going to book that with Leslie at 1 o'clock. So I left-click, right-click, and request, and the appointment is booked. Notice, it did not ask for a room. It did not ask for equipment, because my blow, dry, and curl requires neither. So you have single-tiered booking, like the blow, dry, and curl I just did, and we have two-tiered booking, like, say, a massage in a room, and we have three-tiered booking, like a hot stone massage with a person, a room, and equipment. So whether you're using laser hair removal machines, microdermabrasion machines, VersaPulse machines, whatever it may be, you can assign not only rooms, but also equipment. And of course, the first thing you're going to assign is your person. Now, let me ask you a quick question. As long as it's just you and me, do you do couples massages?
I haven't seen that in the brochure. I'm very new. It's only my third day here.
All right. That's probably why they put you in this class.
I haven't seen an option for couple massage, but it's certainly possible.
Okay, so let's just very briefly go over that, because it does happen, especially in most day spas. Couples massages are usually very popular. So I'm guessing you guys probably do it. So let's just take a look here.
Well, I honestly, when I took the tour, I didn't see a room set up with 2 beds. So maybe that's a no.
Maybe not. Maybe not.
We put them in separate rooms.
I'll just briefly show it to you anyway, and then you can decide.
Yeah, that would be great.
You want to.
The more information you can give me, the better.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pretend that Emma Johns and Carl Johns are a couple. Okay. So what I've done right now is I'm going to choose Emma, and I'm going to go with a massage, and we'll do something that couples might like, something very pleasant, like maybe a Swedish 60. So I've got Emma getting a Swedish 60 massage, and I'm going to book her with Michelle at 11 o'clock, okay? So it asks me what room. I'll choose the Elixir room, and it's booked. So Emma Johns has been booked with Michelle in the Elixir room. Now, I'm going to run into a little bit of a problem here. Let me explain. So let's go ahead and pull that up. I'm going to go to Carl now. So now I've got her husband. If I simply booked with, let's say, Maureen, it would ask me what room, but it wouldn't give me the Elixir room as an option because the Elixir room is already booked. So that's a problem. So how do we resolve that? Well, it's really very simple. When booking a human, it'll ask you what room. But when booking a room, it will ask you what human. So now, instead of booking and it asking me what room, I'm going to book in the Elixir room that's already occupied, and now it asks me, okay, who's the person? And I'll choose Maureen. So now I've got Carl Johns with Maureen and Emma Johns with Michelle, and look, they're both occupying the Elixir room.
Got it.
Okay, so
that's handy.
Massage. So now what we've done is we've booked standard appointments. We've booked single-tiered, two-tiered, and three-tiered bookings. So the next thing that I want to teach you is how to reschedule an appointment. That happens. People call in, hey, I can't make it at 1. Can I come in at 2 or 3 or whatever? Or maybe I can't make it today. Can I come in tomorrow? Whatever it may be. So let's go ahead and do a simple one here. Let's go back to my hair services. And I'm going to put a check in the box that says reschedule. And now any of these appointments here, let's go with my blow dry and curl here. And I'm going to left click and hold it down. You see, when I'm holding this down, I get a question mark. And I can move this mouse anywhere I want. So let's say I want to move it to 11 o'clock. I move it to 11 o'clock and I release. The appointment has been moved. Let's show more of my day. Left click, bring it to 3 o'clock and release. Left click, 1 o'clock, left click, 2 o'clock, left click, 3 o'clock. Real simple. You're moving an appointment around for Leslie. Now the person says, hey, I can't make it today. Can I come in tomorrow? Well, Then I could right-click on the appointment and select reschedule. Then I can change my date. I could either go to my calendar and change my day, or I could just use these little arrows to advance one day at a time. So I'll just click here and go to Leslie at 2 o'clock and click. The appointment is put in there. That's another way to do it. What though if they said, you know what times does Leslie have available next week, or what? So she's looking for a whole week or more information like that. Well, then the easiest thing to do is to go up to Leslie, right-click on Leslie's name, and select Go to Week View. Now I'm looking at just Leslie's next 2 weeks. Check my reschedule button and move Lola to 1 o'clock on Monday, October 2nd, or move her to Wednesday, October 4th at 2 o'clock, or bring her right back to today at 11 o'clock. Move her to tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Again, really easy. It's all with Leslie, and I've got 2 weeks showing, and I can go even further out. Like I said, up to 31 days on a single screen, okay? To get back to my day, I just go to whatever day I want, right-click on it, and select Go Today. And that takes me back to my current day. There's Lola with Leslie at 12 o'clock, okay? So that's rescheduling an appointment. Now, what about unbooking an appointment? I can right-click on an appointment and select Unbook or Unbook all this day. If I say Unbook, it's going to ask me, are you sure you want to unbook this appointment? If I say yes, the appointment will vanish. If I say no, it'll be as though I had done nothing. Still there waiting for me. Now, watch this. I'm going to right-click, and notice under Unbook, I have Unbook all day. That scares people. A lot of people see that, and they think, oh my gosh, I that. Every appointment on this day is going to be unbooked. Absolutely. Would never put something so close that could do so much damage. Instead, all this day does is it would unbook all of Lola's appointments that she has that day, because maybe she's not just coming in for one appointment. She may be coming in to get a facial and then makeup and get her nails done and get her hair done and get a massage. And all of those are separately booked. Or maybe she bought a package and they're booked that way. So in this case, what we're doing here is saying unbook all this day, because she says, I can't come in today, and she has more than one appointment. So it would only unbook Lola's appointments. Unbook, you're only unbooking that one appointment, because maybe she can't make the first one, but she can make the rest. And unbook all this day allows you to unbook all of her appointments. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So that's unbooking an appointment. Now, we talked about rescheduling, and I showed you how easy it was to reschedule something like a blow dry and curl. But what about an appointment that has a room or equipment attached to it? How do you unbook those? Well, it's exactly the same way. But when you are rebooking them, when you're rescheduling them, it will once again ask you for rooms and equipment. So let's go back to our massages here. And I've got my Swedish 60 here, and I've got my back facial here, etc. So let's say let's go down a little bit further to one that we're still on Thursday. Let's go back to Wednesday. There we go. Now we're on today. Okay, so let's talk about, for instance, Greg here. Remember, you know what, instead, because Christian already has the room assigned to him, let's go with Chris here. And I want to reschedule this appointment just for a little bit later in the day, maybe 3 o'clock. So I'm going to hit reschedule, and I'm going to drag this down to 3 o'clock. And now it asks me, well, what room? And I choose the elixir room and what equipment, and I choose my black stones and accept. So once again, rescheduling is done exactly the same way. The only difference is that when you are rescheduling something that requires a room and or equipment, it will ask for those. Whereas the hair service didn't, so it just moved it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, because you might be, maybe he was booked in the elixir room at 1 o'clock, but at 3 o'clock, the elixir room is already occupied by somebody. So you have to choose maybe the herbal room. Okay, so that's why it always asks again, instead of simply trying to move them. You don't want to do a couples massage for somebody who doesn't know the other person. All right.
Exactly.
So now we've talked about booking appointments, rescheduling appointments, and unbooking appointments. Now what we want to do is we're going to talk about booking a standing appointment. What is a standing appointment? So a client of yours comes in every other Tuesday at 11 o'clock or every Wednesday at 12 o'clock. That's a standing appointment. So let's do it. I'm going to go to standing appointments. and I get to choose my customer by clicking on this little question mark here. So I choose a customer. In this case, we'll go with Emma Hadley. Then I get to choose who is it she wants to see. And I'll choose, we'll go this time with Debbie. And now, what service would she like? And I'm going to say she would like to get an anti-curl with blow dry. Now, just like any other appointment, a no type, a request, a new request, I choose the request type. So I'm going to say she asked for Debbie. So that's a request. Now, when is she coming in? Maybe she's coming in today, maybe she's coming in tomorrow, maybe she's coming in Friday, maybe she's coming in next Thursday, whatever. It doesn't matter. I can use my plus and minus signs to take me to the day. Plus tomorrow, plus Friday the 29th, plus Saturday the 30th. And my minus sign will take me back. Friday the 29th, Thursday, September 28th, or back to today, Wednesday the 27th. Or if I needed, I could go to calendar and jump to another day, or even choose a different month. So I'm going to stick with September 27th here. And what time would she like to come in? Notice it's starting at 11 a.m. Why? Well, because I've got that time available.
Okay.
It's not starting any time earlier. With Abigail, it might have started at 9 a.m.
Right.
With Debbie, it's starting at 11. But she doesn't want to come in at 11. She wants to come in at 3. So I'm going to choose 3 o'clock. And how often does she want to come in? So she's starting her first appointment today at 3 o'clock. But when is she coming in? Is she coming in tomorrow as well? Or every other day? Or every third day? I'm going to say she's coming in once a week, or maybe every 2 weeks. Now, this is an anti-curl. An anti-curl should last about 4 weeks. So I could do that as well. I could go all the way down to every 8 weeks. But let's just go with 2 weeks. No matter what, even though an anti-curl should really last 4 weeks, I'm going to go with every 2 weeks. Now, how many appointments do I want to book for her? 1, 2, 3, 4, and I can scroll down all the way to 250 appointments. Understand, if it's every 2 weeks and you chose 256 appointments, that would be 10 years worth of appointments. Okay?
Wow.
Probably not necessary. Let's go with 12. So I'm going to say she's going to come in every 2 weeks, and I'm going to book 12 visits for her. So now it's really important that you remember this step, and that's show. And why is that important? Because you're looking for the status. If the status says okay, that means the appointment can be booked. So you scroll through all of the appointments you're about to book, and they all say okay, perfect. We're good to go. We can go ahead and hit book, and all of the appointments have been booked. Okay. So let's take a peek. There she is, Emma Hadley, for an anti-curl and blow dry at 3 o'clock with Debbie. Let's go forward 1 week. Now we're on October 4th. And let's take a look at, we said every 2 weeks. Forward 2 weeks. And let's go down to 3 o'clock here. And there's Emma Hadley on October 11th. Let's go forward 4 weeks. And let's go down to 3 o'clock. There's Emma Hadley at 3 o'clock with Debbie on October 25th. So they booked just like we wanted them to. Great. Okay, but I did tell you that there could be other options. Let's go to calendar and go back to today. What happens if it didn't say okay? What if most of them said okay, but some of them didn't? Well, let's take a look. Let's do it again. We'll go to standing appointments, choose another customer here. This time we'll go with Valerie Hackett and choose my operator. We'll say Debbie again, just for the heck of it. And the service, we'll go with an anti-curl with blow dry. She asked for Debbie. And my frequency, we'll say every 2 weeks. And once again, we'll start with today, and we'll go with 4 o'clock. Actually, I don't think that's enough time for the anti-curl, so we'll go with 5 o'clock. And now we're going to say our number of visits. We'll say 12 again. And show. Okay, so there they are. They all say, okay, that's great, but wait a minute. What if they didn't? What if on October 25th, do you need to get that, by the way?
No, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I don't know how to shut the phone off, so.
Okay. So let's say on October 25th, Debbie was out that day, or maybe Debbie already had an appointment booked on that day. If that was the case, then there would be X's here instead of okay. Now, I've got an opportunity to talk to my customer. I could say, look, Valerie, all of these are okay. I can go ahead and book them, except on October 25th, Debbie's not going to be able to do 5 o'clock for you. Would you still like to come in on the 25th? And if so, would you like to see somebody else or see if Debbie has any alternate times? So I hit OK. I press this, and it'll highlight my whole line. And now I can choose a different person. If the reason there were X's there was because Debbie wasn't working, Debbie's name wouldn't be here. But because her name is here, I could choose her, and I can see alternate times that she may have available to do this appointment. So maybe I could say, well, she could do you at 11:15 that day. Obviously, it says 5 o'clock because she is open. That's why it says OK here, but I'm going to ignore it, and I'm going to pretend there really were X's there. And the customer says, yeah, that's okay. I really want to see Debbie. Or no, I can only do it at 5 o'clock. Okay, Christian, let's see if he has 5 o'clock available. Well, I could book you at 5 o'clock with Christian. Does that work for you? Yes. Click. So they're all with Debbie except for that one, which now has an alternate option.
It gets changed to alternate. ALT.
That's right.
Okay.
You see that? So what you're really doing, you book a standing appointment, is you're looking at the status. If they all say okay, just hit book. No problem at all. If any of them have X's, you must click on them and choose either a different time with that same operator or a different operator, and hopefully with that same time. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Now I can go ahead and book these appointments again. I could press book, but you've already seen how that works. So I want to show you something different. There's a button here that we didn't talk about earlier called auto standing. What does that do? Well, notice I've only booked 12 appointments for her. Her last appointment's on February 28th of 2018. They're all there. Okay. But I've only booked 12 appointments, and Miss Hackett has been coming in for 3 straight years every 2 weeks. So she's going to keep coming. So I might say, look, I don't want to book 10 years out. I don't want to book 30 appointments. I'm just going to hit auto standing after I book 12. What does that do? When I book these appointments, if an appointment is used, it will automatically book another one at the end so that she's always 12 out. Make sense?
Yeah.
All right. And if you don't have that checked, it'll just book those 12, and when the 12 are used, you can book more for her. Okay? All right, we'll go ahead and cancel that. All right, so that is booking a standing appointment. Now, there's a lot more to the appointment book that we haven't gone over, but for the purposes of the beginner's class, we're done with the appointment book. Unless there was something you absolutely positively needed to see, I'm happy to show it to you. Other than that, we'll go to the point of sale.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. Let's move on. Okay, so it's time to check somebody out. So let's say I want to check out Greg Gettner here. He's walked up to the front desk. I can right-click on his name, and I can select Check Out. And it will open my point of sale with his ticket ready to go. Easy peasy. I'm going to clear that, and I'm going to exit out of that. What if I'm not in the appointment book? Or maybe I'm so busy in this appointment book is so full and so busy that actually finding someone, especially because they forgot who they saw, might be a pain in the neck. So instead, I simply go into sales, and everybody who had an appointment with me will be listed. And they'll be listed either in alphabetical order or in order of checkout. I've got mine set up in order of checkout. They're not in alphabetical order, so depending on what time they're checking out, they should be at or near the top. So at this particular time of day, April should be the first person to check out, so that's why she's at the top. So she walks up to the front desk. I click here and just click on her name, and it fills in the ticket for me. Make sense? All right, now I'm going to clear that. Good. Now, remember we did a couples massage? It doesn't always have to be a couples massage for this to happen. Sometimes friends just come in together, or couples come in together, but they're not getting the same service. So let's say that Carl Johns and Emma Johns are checking out. They're done with their couples massage. I'm going to click on one of them. There's Carl. And then I'm going to click on another. There's Emma. They're both on the same ticket. So this is not a $99 ticket for Carl. This is a $198 ticket for both. And I can check out both people on the same ticket for $198. Now they would like to add a gratuity. So I click on gratuity. I can put a dollar amount in for Michelle and accept it, and then put a dollar amount in for Maureen and accept that, or I could apply a percentage and they'll simply do the math for me, like 15%. Yeah. Okay, so Maureen's going to get $14.85 and Michelle's going to get $14.85 as well. Okay, now I go to my payment, perhaps, and get ready to go. But notice, again, Carl and Emma both came in, but only one person is paying. In this case, I've got Emma up here, but maybe it's not Emma. Maybe it's Carl who whips out the credit card. First things first, I want you to know that whatever name appears here is the last name that is on the ticket, okay? So that's why Emma's here. If I had chosen Emma first and then Carl, then it would have been Carl's name here. But it doesn't matter. I've got Emma here, but I need to change it to Carl. Simple. I just hit change, and now I can pull him up. And there's Carl Johns, and so now it's going to be on his account rather than Emma's. But whoever it is paying for both. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right.
So it's who's ever like on the credit card.
That's right. Exactly. That's the way I would do it. I mean, you certainly don't have to do it that way, but that's the way I would do it. Okay, so let's go back to April here, because I didn't process them out. So here's April. She saw Jessica. She got a European facial for $75, and she's ready to check out. Or is she? What if she would like to, well, first of all, let's throw a gratuity on there, because most do. So I'll go with a gratuity, and I'll just say 15%. All right, now she would like to buy some product. She's walked over to the shelf. She's pulled something off the shelf, and she's walked it over to you. Or maybe Jessica gave her the product and said, buy it. Whatever the reason, she has come up to your front desk holding a bottle of something. If you've got a barcode scanner and this little guy right there is flashing inside of this field, you can simply scan the product. If you do not have a barcode scanner and you know the SKU number, then you can simply type the SKU number in right here. But what are the chances that you, especially somebody who's brand new there, knows the SKU number of every product if you don't have a barcode scanner? Probably not very good. So what you're going to do is click on retail. And now you can look it up by SKU number or by UPC or by vendor, or the easiest way to simply do a search. And now maybe she's handing you some type of oil and it's got a fancy name to it and everything. And you say, I don't know, what it is. So I'm just going to type in oil, and every product that has the word oil in it will appear. So now I can just look and I can find it. Or maybe I know more information than that. Maybe she's handed me the Justin All-in-One shampoo. So I just type in Justin. There it is. And accept. So there's my product. And now I can say who sold it. Like Andre is selling her the Justin All-in-One shampoo. I could hit last if I'm ready to sell it to her, or I could hit more if there's more product she wants to buy and search for my next product. I could also change my quantity. Maybe she's buying 2 bottles instead of just 1. If I do have a barcode scanner or I know the SKU number, I simply scan it. It'll ask me who's getting the commission. I'll say Debbie's getting the commission. And April was sold by Debbie the Justin All-in-One shampoo for $21. My local tax is put in, and now I'm ready to accept her payment. So I've got her ticket, I've got her gratuity, and I've got her product. Now I go to payment. Cash, simply put in the dollar amount that she hands you. She hands you a $100 bill and a $20 bill, or she hands you 6 $20 bills, that's $120. That's what you're putting in under amount tendered. And it will make change for you. Or maybe she writes you out a check for that amount, $112.94, because it's already included her tip. So you put in the check number here. Or maybe she wants to pay with credit card. So we click on credit card. And if you are processing your credit cards directly through the software, it's going to look like this. And you can click on the credit button. And now you can stick the card into the chip reader or swipe the card. Or if you're not using our preferred vendor directly through the software, it's easy. It's just going to look like this instead. And you're going to swipe the card or stick it into the chip reader in the machine that's outside of the software and choose what type of card it is. That way, you still have an accurate record for your reporting, but you didn't get your authorization directly through the software. You got it through the separate terminal outside of the software. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right. What if it's not a credit card? They would like to pay with a gift certificate or gift card. Then you're going to click on the little package here. And you can type in a gift certificate number, or you can swipe a gift card. You can only accept a gift card or gift certificate in this software if it was sold in this software. Okay? Next, we have something called series. That's this method of payment here. What's a series? Well, she doesn't own any, so she can't use a series as a method of payment. But what is a series? A series is when somebody buys the same service multiple times, but they buy it all at once. Like you sell European facials for $50. So if they bought 10 of them, one at a time, that would be $500 that they spend over the course of the next several months. But what if they said, no, I want to buy a series of 10, and you give them a discount? Maybe it's only $450 to buy 10 European facials. Well, if they owned a series, and you can sell it just by clicking this button, and every series that you have on file will appear. So for instance, a European facial, 6, European facial 10, you create those series. But once somebody owns a series, it becomes a method of payment. So then it'll say 5 of 6 remaining, 4 of 6 remaining, 3 of 6 remaining every time they use one. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Then we have this one here, which is called on account. On account is not very common, but what if somebody gave you a deposit? Maybe it's like a wedding party or something like that. And they put $500 down, and April is part of that wedding party. Then you could take money off of the deposited amount on account. So they already have $500 on file with you. So this is going to take $112.94 off of what they've already paid you. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Well, then the next question, that begs the question, how do you do a deposit? I'll show you that in just a moment. Let me ask you this. Are you part of a hotel or resort?
No.
Then we're going to skip that. And then we have traveler's checks. Works the same way as personal checks. Click on personal check, type in the check number, or click on traveler's check, put in the check number. Real simple. And then finally we have other, not finally, but next we have other. And other allows you to choose your own methods of payment. You can create them. Like your electrician came in and did your wiring. So you say electrician's wife, and April gets these things for free because the electrician has, you said, send your wife in and we'll take care of her because you did our wiring or something like that, whatever it may be. That's another way to do it. So other allows you to create your own separate, unique methods of payment. Finally, we have rewards points, which we really don't talk about in this class. That's part of our advanced class. But rewards points is, just so you know kind of the basics, think of it like airline miles. Your customers can earn points for getting services from you or buying products from you or even giving you referrals. They can then turn around and use those points to get discounts or freebies from you in the future. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right. So let's go ahead and do it. This person is going to pay with cash, and they give me 5 $20 bills. That's $100. But they owe me $112.94. But that's all they've got in cash. So accept. They still owe me $12.94. So I can accept multiple forms of payment. And I'm going to take a credit card. I'm going to say that she's going to pay the remaining $12.94 on her Visa and accept. So now we've got, she's paid all $112.94, and I can accept that. Ask client if they'd like to book their next appointment. I can say yes or no. If I say yes, it'll let me book an appointment for her right now, or I can say no and I'm done. My receipt has been printed or emailed, and if I don't have to do this, but if I went into that customer's file, in their history, I can see everything that was done. On September 27th of 2017, she saw Jessica for European facial, and Debbie sold her the Justin All-in-One shampoo. I can click on any part of that transaction and view that transaction to see everything that happened. Jessica got the European facial for $75. She gave a gratuity of $15 to Jessica, and April was sold by Debbie the Justin All-in-One shampoo for $21. There was sales tax of $1.94. She paid $100 in cash and $12.94 on Visa. So it's all there for you. Okay?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
All right. Again, there is a lot to the appointment book that we have not discussed. We haven't talked about refunds. We haven't talked about applying discounts like coupons or simply modifying the price at the point of sale. We haven't talked about transaction notes or duplicating a receipt or how you email a receipt rather than printing them out. Much of that is covered in our advanced class, but for our basic beginners class, we're done here with the point of sale, unless there is something in the point of sale you'd like me to show you before we continue.
No, I'm good. I've been doing this for a couple of days now, so I'm familiar with.
Okay. All right. So then what we're going to talk about now is setting up commissions, unless that has nothing to do with you.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Then actually, the class is over. But because it's just you and me, and we've got some extra time here, we've spent 45 minutes for a blocked out 1 hour. Do you have any questions at all on something you were hoping I would show you that I didn't? Or maybe just something that you're curious about?
Can we go over more of like the information in like under the client's profiles and stuff?
Sure, absolutely.
So let's pull up
the client
a
here.
little more in depth.
Okay, so I'm looking at a client file here. What would you like to know?
So any of these, they can just be changed, right? I don't have to click anything to change, like say she got married and she needs to change her last name.
That's exactly right. You can go right in here and change her last name
right
and
in there.
save it.
Don't have to click edit or anything like
That's
that.
right. Her history will already be there for you. Her client
Yeah.
number will remain the same, everything.
Okay. And then, so all these buttons over here, we can look up her history, put
Absolutely.
in notes.
Yes.
Okay.
Put in notes. You can put in general notes. You can also
Yeah.
put in operator notes, which will only be seen by the operator and will not print. General notes will print. You can do a pop-up note, like something like, hey, she's allergic to glycerin. And that the pop-up note will pop up the very first time you pull this, anytime you pull this customer up for any reason, the first thing you'll see is the pop-up note, because that means it's a really important thing. If she owns any series, they'll be listed here, and this person does. She has a full facial series, and she's used 3 of them. If she owns any gift certificates, you'll be able to see that as well. Go to the gift certificate status, type in the certificate number. You can also, of course, go to her history and hit gift certificates, and any that she owns will be listed here. There's all sorts of different things that you can do. Yes.
So just really, I need to play with it.
Sure. Anything else I can help you with?
No, you know what? I've been familiarized with most of it, and you answered a lot of the questions that I had.
Excellent. I'm glad to hear that. Well, I want to thank you for spending time with me today, because the people who are most familiar with the software are the people who are the happiest with it. So it really is important that you take the time, and so I thank you very much for doing that. Would you like a copy?
Get a class schedule from you.
I'm so sorry, say that again?
They asked me to get a class schedule from you.
Oh yeah, let me show you something here. Let's go to the Pro Solutions software website.
So it's Pro Solutions.
So here we are, prosolutionssoftware.com. And if you go to our website, under support, we have training classes. So you click on training classes. That'll take you to the next page here. And you'll put in your name, your phone number, your company. But before you do any of that, if you want, you can just click on down here, select a choice. And this is a list of all of our classes.
Okay, do that one more time for me. I was taking notes.
Sure. So once you go to support and you go to training classes, you'll be brought to this window. To sign up for a class, you will fill in all of this information and then choose your class. But if you just want to see the schedule, just click down here and you'll be able to see a list of all of the classes through October. And then
great.
near the end of October, all of the classes for November will appear.
Okay. Awesome.
All right. That's it. That's how you sign up. Easy peasy.
All right. Super.
Would you like a copy of this class that you just attended emailed to you?
Yes, I would. Okay.
Let me make sure I've got your email address here. No, I don't. So if you would please give me your email address, I'll get that out to you.
Sure. It's JODI STUART
25
at gmail.com.
At gmail.com. I will have that emailed out to you today.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
All right.
This is
My
great.
pleasure. Have a wonderful day. Good. I look forward to having you in future classes. Take care. Bye-bye.
All righty. Bye-bye.